everyone. Welcome to yet another amazing, superb episode of She Sides Cover Personality Interview. Today, I am so excited personally to have a wonderful personality with us who I'm sure will not just inspire us with her journey and whatever she has done, but also is probably going to entertain us with a few of her uh, uh, amazing talent. I'm going to explain all that, or rather, I'm delighted to invite to this stage of She Side a personality who has expanded globally, I would say, with her presence, not just her presence, but all the students that she has trained in her journey as an educator as well as a musician. She is someone who has, uh, I would say, taken the Indian music to a global stage in probably in a way which nobody had envisaged before. She's a musician, she's an educator, she's an arts entrepreneur, she is an Emmy nominated TV personality, and she is none other than the founder and the artistic director of Berkeley Indian Ensemble at the Berklee College of Music. Let's me put my hands together and welcome this amazing personality from Boston, none other than Miss Annette Philip. Hello, Annette.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for this beautiful platform that you've created.
Thank you, Annette. Well, I know the introduction was not enough. I should have said also about your experience of performing with the world performers like A.R. Rahman and a lot of other very senior and established performers and artists, and also about your works in forming the Artist Unlimited, and so many things we have to talk about all that. Let's talk one by one. But the first and foremost question is about how did this journey start? How did you actually enter into music, or what was the age when you decided that music is my career?
So I think from a very young age, it was very clear to me that music gave me a kind of joy that almost anything else could not. And probably by age 4, 5, I was clear that this was a no-brainer. This is the one aspect that I had to pursue. And I just knew, I felt it. And I think the primary indicator was joy.
Excellent. And is there any, I mean, what about your family? Does it come with a lot of music background? And was that the initial stage, or rather, that was the reason for you to enter into music?
No, no one in my family is a professional musician. Of course, they all love listening to music, but they observed that I enjoyed listening and playing and performing music, and so they were very supportive from the very beginning. It was something that was just unique to me, and I didn't really have a pathway to follow.
That's nice. So tell us about your early schooling and where were you born? I know that you're from Kerala. Which part of Kerala are you? And would you like to share some memories of your growing up and your music interest at that time?
Sure. Well, my family is from Kerala. My dad grew up there, and so he has roots in Thrissur and several other places. And my mother has some roots in Tripunithra. But I was born in Delhi, and then we moved to Singapore, and then back to Delhi, and then eventually, many years later, I came to Boston, and now actually I'm in New York. So it's been fun to live in many different places, and it's just an adventure. You kind of go where the music calls. So yeah, that's the short story of it. Yeah.
That's great. So what I am actually surprised is, you come from a generation when probably parents would want their children to enter into, those days, even in my generation, every parent want either engineering or doctor for their children. And how was your parents, as you said, they definitely supported your dreams. But was it difficult during that stage of that society to break the norms and enter into music as a career, and that to go abroad and pursue all of this. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think my parents are similar to other parents, that they, were seeing music and the arts more as a hobby and not as a life choice for a career. And the one thing that they had told me when I was in school was, you need to keep your grades up, and that was kind of an understanding that we had at home. But when I was in probably primary school, and high school, my teachers would make a comment that it's kind of surprising that she doesn't treat music as an extracurricular activity. She seems to treat music as a co-curricular activity. Um, and it was just because it was important. It was important to me, and it again, it brought me joy, and I've always tried to follow my joy. And I went to college. I have a bachelor's in journalism and media studies from LSR in New Delhi. And
Right, I was about to ask that. Because as you rightly said, parents of that generation, they'll say, okay, you can pursue music, but you should have another professional qualification. Is that the reason why you went into journalism?
no, I wasn't thinking of music in that way. When I had finished high school, I was really interested in mathematics, and I loved accounting. I love numbers.
Oh, wow.
And so, but at the same time, before I finished high school, I had this great opportunity to work with a music producer called Julius Pakyam in Delhi. And when I started doing recordings, I realized, oh, this is so interesting, and it's such a fun kind of career pathway. And I was interested in advertising. And so, there was no advertising course at the bachelor's level when I was growing up in New Delhi. And so I decided to go in for journalism and media studies, because I felt like advertising was a place which allowed me to do music, to do voiceovers, to do creative writing, which I was also very fond of and pretty strong at. And keep kind of everything that I like in one place. And so that's where journalism came in. And it was soon after I joined college, I was already recording voiceovers for advertisements and documentaries and things like that. And at probably 19, I had to pay taxes from my musical earnings. And it was then that my father said, oh, maybe this is a viable career choice. And he had not really seen it that way until that point. But my mother used to accompany me to a lot of the studio recordings. And I think she was getting the idea that, oh, yeah, this is a very serious pathway. And, she was seeing that I was having success, and I was having enjoyment, fulfillment, but also, financial stability that was coming through that. And so I think they kind of wrapped their heads around it. But it's only after I finished my degree that I kind of went really full on into arts entrepreneurialism and continued to expand my, musical learning and also my performances and things like that.
It's wonderful. Do you think because you did the journalism, you actually got that courage to launch this community or the arts entrepreneurship that you initiated way back in Delhi University? So can you talk about your venture back then, and how did you come up with that kind of an idea?
Well, I've always gravitated towards creating community. It's something that I seem to do naturally, even in my parents tell me that when I was a toddler and, they had a creche, because both my parents were working. So they would drop me at this daycare center, and I used to kind of organize the children, and, like,
you were the leader of the group.
I don't know if I considered myself a leader, but I was definitely kind of noticing what was required in the space, and I, knew everybody's names, and I knew whose water bottle belonged to whom, and it's a very random thing, but I think it shows that there's an instinct to serve, and there is interest in people, and I've always, even though I feel I'm very much a ambivert, so I'm an extrovert when required, but I'm much more of an introvert. But at the same time, there's some interest in people, and I think that that is a big part of creating community and creating your own kind of artistic or any sort of platform.
Correct.
And I don't think it had anything to do with the journalism degree, no. But I think it was just a natural thing, and I seem to sense when there is a gap and how I can fill that, and how I can create something that might be of use or might be of service to a larger group of people. So I think that's really where it's coming from. And the funny thing is, I'm an only child, so I didn't grow up with siblings. And I think people have a misconception that only single children families, the children are unable to share, or they don't know how to interact with others. But I think that it's the opposite. I think that you enjoy solitude, and you also enjoy and know how to engage with others, because maybe you're engaging with people who are much older or younger than you. Because they're not your siblings. So I don't know.
Maybe
this is
you
a
want
random...
to build a set of people, a group with which you can actually interact and be a part, whom you can call as siblings. Maybe
who knows? Yeah, I've never thought of it that way, but it is definitely a common thread in every artistic endeavor or every entrepreneurial endeavor, that I tend to treat the organization as a family. And who knows, maybe you're right. Maybe it was that desire to have, siblings, and it's just natural. It comes naturally. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So tell us about the organization you started way back, your first venture.
Right. So when I was in high school and in college, I noticed that the primary way for young musicians in New Delhi to meet each other was at competitive events. And for me, that was just exciting because, I was getting to meet all sorts of people from my community and from, my age group who were interested in the same thing. But there was also a lot of hostility. Not from my side, but I noticed that this was happening, with our so-called competing or rival groups. And we never used to call them rivals. We, in our school and our college, we only considered them as the other participants, the other musicians. And I never understood that hostility, because I feel like it's alien to music making. It's alien to the creation of art. And soon after graduating from college, from LSR, I felt like, there is a need in our community in Delhi among the arts, or the artists, I should say, to have a space. And this space doesn't exist, so why not create it? And, that was we conducted a social experiment. We called all the musicians that we knew. And it was a very rainy monsoon July day in Delhi. And 60 people showed up, and we, tried a song together, and it was just love at first sound, I guess. And we kept meeting, and, eventually decided to call it Artists Unlimited. And the idea was, let's have this platform for musicians of all ages to come together and create the highest quality of music without competitiveness, without hostility, and with a nurturing, kindness-based, intentionality, which is, what the foundation of our creativity should be.
Mhm.
And let's also create an audience for ourselves. At that time, there was not much choral or a cappella music being performed
Mm.
or available for consumption in society. And so let's educate our audience. And thirdly, let's help to change the mindset about arts careers and help our families and our society understand that the arts is a viable and fulfilling way of life. And so it was all those three things combined, and it was great fun and a lot of work. And I didn't even know that it was, could have been considered arts entrepreneurialism till many years later. I didn't even know the phrase, but that's basically what it was. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's fascinating. I mean, you're talking about 19 years back. Am I right? 20, almost 20 years back when you started this.
20 years back this year. That's right. That's right.
So, so I'm seriously, I'm really fascinated because currently, of course, if somebody comes up with this idea, yes, we have so much of social media, we have so much of, networking possibilities and everything around this, but trying to come out with this kind of a venture way back is definitely appreciable, and that shows your mettle. your
Yeah, there was no social media. It was, phone calls, landlines. So many of the people didn't even have cell phones
right.
yet. And so it was, word of mouth and really kind of reaching out to like-minded people. So yeah, I never thought about it, but you're right. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was,
yeah.
it was a
And that
different.
brings me to the question of that probably that experience is what helped you to launch the Berkeley Indian Ensemble. And I would like you to now talk about how you entered Berkeley College of Music as a faculty, and what was the point where you decided to launch the Indian Ensemble in it. I mean, that entire journey would be great.
Sure. So while I was doing Artists Unlimited, I think I got really burnt out. I was very young. I didn't quite understand the art of delegation. And as much as I had learned, I think I was really overwhelmed and very tired because I was handling not only the musical part of, the organization, and which, includes arranging and composing and auditioning and production and direction, but I was also handling the taxes and the accounting and the copyright and tour management, you name it. So I was super burnt out and I needed some external exposure. And I'd heard about Berkeley, and my parents were very skeptical. They were not excited about me trying to do that. And it took me 2 years to get them to say yes.
Okay.
And after that, I went to Berkeley with the intention of, studying for maybe a few semesters, maybe even one or two.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow, I think it was just meant to be. And I ended up staying for several years. I continued to run Artists Unlimited remotely and would go back and forth, but eventually felt like, okay, I'm here to stay for a couple of years. And before I graduated, so this is my second bachelor's. Before I graduated, I got an invitation to join the faculty. And I decided that as long as I keep performing and composing and, doing other things, I would give it a shot. And my parents said, why not? It's a different way to stay in that community, and you've enjoyed it. And they also acknowledged that I was right to stick with that dream or desire to go to Berkeley, despite them saying no for 2 years. I was very patient and I was very persistent. And I think they finally said, yeah, you're right. This was a good choice for yourself. And as I joined the faculty, I later found out that I was the first Indian musician, not the first Indian, but the first Indian musician to join the music faculty. And they said, if you could start anything new that doesn't exist, what would you like to do? And I felt that we needed a performing ensemble that was exploring Indian music in all its diverse forms, that would be artistically porous, that would, have collaboration and intentionality and kindness, similar core values of Artists Unlimited at the center of it all.
Yeah.
And that started in 2011. And, all I knew was I'm going to start this. And I think there were two questions that kept coming up, which were similar to the questions when Artists Unlimited were formed. And those two questions were, what if and why not? And that has become the cultural bedrock of not only the ensemble, but also the institute that grew out of it, which is called Berkeley India Exchange. So it's been a really colorful journey and a colorful adventure. And so 2011 to now. So we're starting our 12th year now.
And what do you feel right now? Are you fascinated at the growth of the institute? Are you do you feel proud of that you have done something which was not done before? And what is your feeling at this point?
Well, we just got nominated for a Grammy, which we're very excited about, for our debut album. And in fact, I'm leaving tonight to go to Boston, and then I have a bunch of travel, and I'll only come back after the Grammy. So it's, I think the feeling is of gratitude for ideas, gratitude for a fantastic team, and gratitude for the possibilities that open up when you are not afraid to kind of just think outside the box and go for it. But really, it's not that I have done it. I this has taken a lot of people, and I think I brought many of the life lessons from the Artists Unlimited experience to the Berkeley Indian Ensemble journey. And I have, I try to practice as much delegation and as much as I can. It takes time to kind of be hands off as a leader and as a director, but it's worth it. And it's amazing to have a great team to work with and to learn from. And it's always a two-way street. So I think the primary feeling is of gratitude and also anticipation and excitement. We have so many new dreams. Every few weeks we have a new idea of, well, what if we do this, and why not try this? So just excited for the future.
Of course, yeah, it is so exciting. I think any creative endeavor is definitely so exciting, whether it is arts, poetry, music, paints, or whatever, painting. So you as an artist, I know you are not just limited to music, but you also have other interests. Would you like to talk about your other areas of interest other than music?
Oh, I love plants. I love food. I love textiles. I'm a big fan of saris, and I read a lot. And I enjoy several things. It's fun to, I think, take inspiration from many different sources, and it colors all of your creative endeavors. So I think it's really important to flex different artistic muscles. And I even enjoy cleaning. I think it's cathartic. It's very calming to sort things, organize things, even in your kitchen. I was just home in India about a week ago. I was still in India, and I love to go to my parents' house and say, okay, what am I cleaning today? And, clean up the pantry or clean up my mother's clothes cupboard or whatever. And it's fun. So, I think mainly I try to have fun wherever I am and enjoy myself.
That's fascinating. I mean, one thing you had done especially during the COVID time is have or launch the social media engagement, and you also have an idea of keeping it light. What
Mhm.
is this keeping it light all about? Why do you, I mean, I know keeping it simple is definitely nice for the lifestyle, but would you like to share your perspectives on what do you mean by that?
Sure. So, Keeping It Light was an online reflection series that I began when the first pandemic wave hit us in March of 2020. And it began as, I wanted to do 15 minutes a day in the morning in East Coast time in the
Mhm.
US, which is probably, I don't know, 6:30 in India. And it was just a time of reflection. And I thought, friends or students or colleagues would join. And I love, I love anything related to spirituality, mental health, mental pivots,
Yeah.
and also philosophy, things like that. And I was kind of surprised. I didn't know that it would kind of grow the way that it did. I ended up doing 100 episodes, and we had a community that was joining, every single day at 8:45 a.m. in the East Coast, and you know, and even people watching like post the
Live.
broadcast. And it was incredible because I I was doing it for my own enjoyment, in the sense that I love reading and I love thinking about things and pondering on ideas, and I love kind of opening my mind and finding new ways to approach the same thing that I might have been doing, but in a completely different way. And I just made amazing friends. There are two or three I want to talk about. A lady in Bangalore called Suhasini. She goes by Shine. She's become one of my best friends now, and she's such a dear person and kind of become like a goddaughter to my parents.
Okay.
And another young person in Bombay called Palak. uh, we're just in touch so much. And I've never met Palak. I only met Shine last year for the first time when I finally went to India. And then another young man called Sunny Rodrigues, who lives in Boston. Again, an amazing person. And these are just people who, happen to tune in to that Keeping It Light episode every single day. And it really talks about I think it is a testament to the power of community,
Community
uh,
again.
a testament to the power of connection, human connection, even over the internet. And yeah, I'm so grateful for them, and I'm grateful for all I've learned. And the reason I called it Keeping It Light was I didn't want to call it, like a daily meditation, because a lot of
Yeah.
people see meditation as something kind of dreary and that they don't enjoy. But actually, meditation is very powerful. And I wanted to make sure that it was accessible to as many people as possible. And I would do meditation, like a guided meditation sometimes, but also other topics, like lessons from ants, lessons from dolphins, or, why decluttering is so important. So keeping it light, one, of course, is looking towards light or looking towards inspiration as a way to kind of lift yourself in the pandemic was difficult for all of us, but also keeping it light, keeping it simple, staying happy or staying light about conflict. And well, maybe not conflict, but staying light about when you're feeling bogged down by something,
Right.
and trying to look for simple solutions within yourself that can help you. So that was a very long answer, but yeah,
No,
it's
I mean
something I'm.
that's wonderful. I would say definitely, as as artist or as musician, you or any artist for that matter influences the human beings, and I would say bring out the humane qualities of people. That is what the whole purpose of arts. Imagine a world without arts and music. I don't think we can't even imagine such a world. It will be so bad, horrible. So we as I think we human beings, when we can keep it light and have more of these uh, cultural and artistic pursuits also in place, I think that's when the world becomes more humane. That's what you're trying to do, and I'm sure people like you are very very integral for this aspect of the world, I would say. Now
That's very
coming back to the music part of it. You What is your dream? Is there any a dream or crazy idea that, not crazy per se, but probably some dream project that you have in your mind where you want to work on in the coming years? Would you like to share?
Yeah, so several things. I love productions. I'm a production girl through and through, and I am definitely keen on having produced a stadium show from scratch. So
Okay.
that is very exciting. We're already kind of at the base level, conversations about that, and we'll probably do it with the Indian ensemble at some point.
Mhm.
And I want to keep making music, keep touring, keep seeing different parts of the world, keep learning music from all over the world.
Yeah.
One of my other groups is called Women of the World, and we sing in
Yeah.
37 languages. It's a vocal
I was
quartet.
about
And
to ask that. That was my next question.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
I
so
mean, it's
interested to know about Women of the World. What is it all about?
Yeah, it was formed in 2008 by a Japanese vocalist, a classmate of mine at Berkeley. And, she wanted to bring women musicians together from different countries to learn from each other and really practice peace while working together, living together, playing together.
Mhm.
And a sisterhood has been formed, and we've been touring all over the world for the last decade, and I've learned so many different types of music because of that group.
Wow.
And we've also been able to take many different cultural stories to parts of the world where they may not be exposed to someone from Italy or India or
Great.
Haiti or Bulgaria, or hear music in Zulu, etc.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's been great. So I want to keep doing that.
Mhm.
And, I don't know. I think mostly just keep being joyful and keep trying new things, keep doing lots of collaborations,
Yeah.
and release more and more music.
Yeah, that's fascinating. You said you sang or you performed in 37 different languages. How, I mean, is it through this Women of World group that you did?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, you did that. And how did you learn? I mean, I know musicians can sing in any language, but still, I'm always intrigued at the fact that how you're able to learn the nuances of each language and, perform to the best. Really, really an appreciable task. Do you remember, or of all the 37 languages, this is a very crazy question. Do you, did you find any language to be more musical? I don't know how to define that, but yeah, did you find that the words are very musical? Did you find any language like that?
That's a great question. I will need to think about it. I mean, it's hard to choose one, because
Mm.
what is musical to one person based
May
on
not
their background will be very different to someone else. Again, um, I'll give a non-musical example. For me, the sari is one of the most sophisticated and elegant outfits.
challenge. Yeah.
And I met someone the other day, and her first comment about a sari was, "Oh, but it just covers you up in so much cloth,
Mm.
and you can't see any shape."
Mm.
And I was like, that's so interesting, because I grew up in India, and I am a obsessed with saris.
Right.
And I can see the shape and the sophistication and the elegance of it,
Yeah.
where, the same piece of clothing someone else
Might not feel
is
it, so I
maybe
get it.
used to wearing very different outfits, and they can't see the elegance in it. So I think it's kind of hard to answer the question about which one is musical, but I'll answer. Uh, I will give you something that was very intriguing for me
Mhm.
was singing and writing in the language Esperanto.
Oh, okay.
So Esperanto is a man-made modern language
Mhm.
which incorporates part of, I think, Latin, um, old Spanish, English, uh, probably parts of Greek,
Mm.
etc. And it was a language that was created to be a common language for the people of the world.
Right.
And so they borrow, linguistic elements from many, many cultures.
Mm.
And I was really amazed by the
That's really
fact that a language was created to bring more harmony and peace into the world. So Esperanto is a very interesting concept as a language, and
Do you
sounds
remember
also.
the song you sung in that language? Do you remember? Can you sing one or two lines of that if possible?
So we didn't finish writing. It was kind of difficult for us because none of us spoke the language.
Right.
But there is a song called Coloro,
Mhm.
and Coloro is the Esperanto word for color, and
Oh,
that was
wow.
actually the name of one of our albums with Women of the World.
Mhm.
And that's a song that I wrote. And funnily enough, it doesn't have the word coloro in it,
Okay.
but we just named it coloro. Yeah, so I can't really sing a portion of it, but it's a really interesting song, and it is there online if someone would like to go listen to coloro.
Sure, sure.
We hear it.
That is fascinating. That's nice. I mean, um, uh, this is a new information for me about this new language that you mentioned. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. Right. Now, I think we are almost nearing to the end of the interview. So I would like to quickly, um, take us to a couple of questions. One is I wanted to know about your musical influences. Like, who are there any role models who inspire you even back then or right now? Would you like to talk about them?
Sure. I think every day I'll find someone else that inspires me. So a quick list. Of course, Mr. A.R. Rahman, of course.
Yeah.
Lata Mangeshkar, all the amazing writers and performers from South Asia, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, Abida Parvi. I mean, there's just so many.
Yeah.
And then from the West, I would say Bobby McFerrin, from the late, current musicians, Jacob Collier, Snarky Papi, Leila Hathaway. It's an endless treasure trove of inspiration, and many of my students as well. I mean, so inspired by what they write, and I consider them colleagues. It's so it's been really amazing to explore different music from all over the world and keep learning.
Right, right, right. You mentioned all these, well-known figures, personalities in the music, this thing, and you have been fortunate, or rather, you have been a part of their music programs. You have been invited, or rather, been part of working along with them. Would you like to share any incident where, or any specific incident where you really got inspired by one of these personalities, and not just about their musical this thing, but as a personality? Anyone case.
Yeah, I mean, so many different things to choose from. Um, I would say, of course, Mr. Rahman. I mean, he's one of the best mentors to anyone, and he's just such a masterful artist. And he has a really great uh, blend of someone who has very clear ideas and can talk about them and can, give direction in a very uh, profound and, I would say again, the word clear, it's just clarity, because he's so clear about what he wants.
Right.
So he's got that blend of being very clear, but also being completely able to give freedom to whoever he's collaborating with. And that's a very interesting blend in a single person, to have very clear vision, but also be able to take a step back and really give freedom and permission to your collaborators to be themselves and to bring all of themselves to the table. So he's really a master at uh, bringing out the best performance from people, and also challenging them and making them kind of question, okay, what's the next level that I can get to within my own artistry. So that's one person who's always inspired me.
Wonderful. I think he's definitely an inspiration for the whole world. Now, coming to the last question, I wanted to know, what is your life, a day in your life where I know you are an educator, you will have classes, you'll have semester and batches to finish, but generally, how does your day look like?
So no day is the same. I'm actually not teaching anymore. I am the artistic director for Berkeley India Exchange, which is an
Right.
institute that grew out of the momentum of the Berkeley Indian Ensemble.
Okay.
And so we do productions, workshops all around the world. We raise funds for scholarships. We do industry collaborations. We work on music and mental health programs. We're creating more South Asian related educational material, residencies all around the world, all sorts of different things. So it's really, we're kind of in empire expansion mode with Berkeley India Exchange. And so that's one side of things. And then, my day, like I said, no day is the same. Every single day is quite different, whether I'm in the studio, recording something, writing something, doing a whole bunch of cooking or reading, or really spending time in meditation and things like that,
traveling.
or traveling. Today I'm traveling in 2.5 hours. I leave for the next month. So it's quite different, but I guess the core of it is I'm trying to enjoy myself, and usually successfully enjoying myself in whatever I'm doing, and learning a lot, and staying, closely in touch with my family and my loved ones, and trying to stay grounded.
Excellent. That's nice. So, I thought that was the last question, but I have one more question, which is now, since you are more into production, when will we get to, probably, are you interested in producing music for Indian movies? Have you thought about that? Have you been approached by film producers so far?
Yeah, we have been approached, and personally, as well as with, both the ensemble and also with Women of the World and other projects. And at this point, I'm kind of focused on whatever I'm doing right now. So I never rule anything out. I think anything is possible. So yeah, when the right thing comes along, why not? But I have composed for musicals, and I have composed for documentaries and other things before. So it's something I do enjoy, but right now I have a slightly different focus.
Right. Okay. Definitely. I think may all your dreams come true this new year. We are talking just at the beginning of this new year. I'm sure 2023 will be an amazing year for you, as well as all your dreams. And more importantly, I think the mission that you are in, which is using music as well as arts as a tool to heal the world, to bring together people. I think that's very, very, very important for the world at this point, where we are facing all kinds of inequalities and problems around us, right? So I'm really honored and thankful for your time today with us. And we are really, really proud of whatever you have done, and we look forward to support you in whichever ways in your current endeavors.
Thank you so much. And again, as I said in the beginning, thank you for creating this beautiful platform of She Sight, and wishing you and the entire She Sight team an amazing year ahead. And thank you for just this beautiful opportunity. It's been lovely to speak with you.
Thank you. Thank you once again, Annette. And that's it for this episode of She Sights cover personality interview. And I'm sure if you like this episode, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, look out for our PDF version of the magazine, which will be coming right after this podcast. So thank you once again, every listener and audience. I'll come back soon with yet another amazing woman personality. See you. Bye.